Welcome to Game Changers with Molly Fletcher, where we take you behind the scenes with peak performers to learn what makes them tick and discover how you can apply their lessons to your life. I'm your host, Molly Fletcher. Today's guest is a PGA Tour champion, but his golf career began in his backyard with a simple challenge. Hit the ball over the pond consistently, and I'll take you to the golf course, were the words of his father. Hit it over the pond, he did. And today, Billy Horschel is one of the top golfers out on the PGA Tour. After an All-American collegiate career at the University of Florida, Billy became the first member of his family to graduate college and turned pro in 2009. An injury sidelined him in 2010, and over the next few years, Billy struggled and had to fight just to regain his tour card. Billy recorded a breakthrough win with his first professional title at the Zurich Classic. Since then, he's captured the BMW Championship and the Tour Championship en route to clinching the FedEx Cup, and was the youngest player ever to do so. An avid fan of the Gators, you may have seen Billy doing the Gator Chomp out on the course while he rocks his signature styles from Ralph Lauren. He and his wife, Lauren, are also proud parents of a beautiful daughter. Today, Billy opens up about how his upbringing shaped his career, the advice Tiger Woods gave him, how he maintains focus through the highs and lows of professional golf, and what on earth possessed him to wear those octopus pants at the U.S. Open. Just Google it. You can follow Billy on Twitter and Instagram at BillyHO_golf. Billy, thanks for joining us.
It is awesome to have you on, by the way. Thank you so much. One of the first questions I wanted to ask you, how did your childhood sort of shape who you are today, right? I mean, like your family, your parents, the impact they maybe made on your ability to compete at the level you compete at. If you can tell me a little bit about that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I come from a family that's very blue-collared. Both my parents, as I was growing up, neither of them had a college degree. My mom went back and got her college degree. She finally got a degree about 2 years ago, graduated, but it was a 6-year process of working full-time and taking classes at night. Where we grew up in Melbourne, Florida, at a local college there, and getting a degree. So from that blue-collar background, one thing I learned the most was just work ethic and how important it was, just to work hard. I think in today's society, I think everyone's looking for handouts and be shown the way or be given something in their lives to make it. And I think when you look back at the history of our country, the people who are the most successful people and the majority of people that's been successful are people who've worked at it and worked hard and taken advantage of the situations that have been given to them. And yes, there are the few percentage of people, but the majority of people in the American history have always worked their way to be successful. So, having that by my parents and instilling a sense of discipline and a sense of, responsibility and respect for everybody you walk across in life, or you come across in life, treating them the way you want to be treated. There's so many things that they taught me that, I carry on today that made me the person I am. And I say it a lot, and I truly mean it, that I wouldn't want a different way of growing up. And I feel like the way I grew up is the way every child should grow up. And I mean, and like I said, we didn't have money. There was many times when I grew up that only one of my parents was working a job, and there'd be periods of time where only one of them had a job. I mean, the construction industry is can be hot, hit or miss at times, and so that's the way it was. And with my mom having didn't have any college education, she worked her butt off to be successful. And sometimes when she took a chance on a company that was new and trying to make its name in their industry, whatever industry that may be in, they would be good at the beginning, and then, they would fizzle out and they have to go under. And then my mom would have to find another job, which was tough at the time with no college education, but with working experience and being successful in what she did, it was a struggle. So like I said, I'm very, very blessed to have two great parents that, allowed myself and my brothers to really make our own way, but be there with the helping hand and great words of advice that we needed to keep pushing our way forward. They were never overbearing at any parts of our lives at all, in sense of telling us what we needed to do or how to do it. They sort of gave us the leeway to make our own mistakes, and then offered their words of advice when we did make mistakes.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That is so fantastic. I mean, I'm sure that shows up for you every day in your life now, and is a gift that they've given you. It sounds like you've watched them, as much as the words that they used, the things that they did and the way they behaved. Mm-hmm. Certainly, it sounds like shows up in your life now.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Everyone talks about a regular workday being 9 to 5, and I've never known a 9 to 5 workday. I mean, there's many times growing up that I'd go work with my dad, and my dad was on the job site before the sun rose, had everything prepped to go to get ready to work that day, doing stucco or whatever he was doing on the job site that way, and he worked from sun up to sundown, and that's the way some of our summers were spent. Some weeks during the summer, my young brother and I, we'd go work for him, and it just showed us that one thing he did by making us come to work for him was showing that this is no easy job that he has. Like, you have to really work your butt off. And he did, and also he wanted us to experience that this isn't what he wanted for his boys. Mm-hmm. He wanted something better for us. And if we wanted to do this, if we wanted to be in construction, then let's go ahead and be the architect or the contractor or the guy who's not busting his ass every day and to make a living. Mm-hmm. Let's be the one who sort of bringing these ideas and overseeing the job. Those guys have a little bit easier of life. Obviously, it's still tough, but not the grunt labor doing the work.
Right. God, well, after hearing that, it makes sense, right? The success that you've had out on tour, and you've obviously it takes a lot of work to get to the level that you've gotten to. So you had great role models to help get you there. And so now, right, you're out on the tour. You've had great success, right? I mean, over the years, you've had unbelievable success, and golf is such a mental game. One of the things that's always fascinated me is, how do you sort of strengthen your mental game so you're ready to compete, week after week after week after week, which is that sort of tour life, right? How do you mentally prepare? And we have a lot of business people and entrepreneurs, visionaries, that listen to this. And so, the experiences that you've had out on the golf course and to prepare mentally, I know are things that they can hopefully apply to their own lives.
Yeah, I think everybody learns different in the way, the middle side or anything in life, everyone learns differently. For me, I like to learn by listening to people who are knowledgeable in that area of field, that the mental aspect. So you obviously got your sports psychologist, then you got other guys that have been very successful, other golfers that are known to have a really strong mental game. So for me, I like to talk to the guys that are golfers that have been known to have strong mental games. You sort of pick their brain a little bit, figure out a couple things that work for them. You take their advice. You don't take all of it, but you figure out what works best for you. And then obviously you take the sports psychologist guy who gives you the definition and tries to break it down in the clearest form for each individual so they understand. So with that, I'm taking that piece of advice as well, breaking down what I want from it. And then I take those two things and I sort of mold it into what's going to work for me. And obviously, it's a trial and error over the years. And obviously, you're still putting more things into that mold to clean it up and to perfect it, to figure out what is the most successful way for you to understand and become mentally strong. And one thing I do, I've done on and off, but I'm starting to do it more regularly now, and something I've been successful at when I do it is envision myself being successful. And what I mean by that is I take periods of time during a day, and it's not hours a day. It's 15, 20 minutes, and just it's sort of a meditation process. Working on my breathing, along with it. But I'm visioning myself being successful on the golf course, visioning myself making a putt, making a birdie putt, making a putt for 20 feet, making a putt to win a tournament. Envisioning myself holding up the trophy at the end of the week. Envisioning myself, acknowledging the crowd after, I hit a really great shot. Envisioning myself doing interviews, talking about my day, giving victory speeches. Obviously this is all stuff that, you're trying to trick your mind, but you're trying to also at the same time prove to yourself that you can do this. I've seen it done. I've seen the clear picture in my head. I know I can be successful. I know I'm good enough to do this. So, I think that can translate very easily over to anyone in the business world of any kind, seeing themselves, rise up throughout the company, meeting sales quarterly numbers by, the work that they do, whether it be insurance or be a car salesman or whatever it be. I think you gotta vision yourself. You gotta see yourself being successful to be successful in the reality world of it. And
well, and then when you find yourself in that moment, right, you say, gosh, I've been here, because you've tricked your mind or you've created that moment before.
Exactly. And at the same time, you do the successful part of it, but at the same time, I may also, challenge my mind a little bit. I may also see myself getting off to a bad start at a tournament, hitting some bad shots and being 3 over par after 5 holes, and see myself battle back, from, that bad start and finishing and making a bad start a good round by just grinding away at it, making a couple putts, making a couple pars, and maybe throwing a couple birdies in there late. And it may not be, a great round of 8 on the par, but I turned a possible disaster round into a, 1-2 on the par round. And that goes just as far as, seeing yourself, hold up a trophy, but, because you're not always going to have everything be easy and be successful right away. You're going to have some struggles. You're going to have battle through stuff. Like I said, that obviously relates to the business world as well, because not everything's going to be so easy. You're going to have to battle through some adversity, some tough times in work, and, you're not, selling certain things, or, you're not getting promotions you want. So I think that's just another way to envision that, I can battle through this. I think I've gone through this before, I've handled it. I've prepped for situations like this and how to handle, the good with the bad.
Mm-hmm. Is that the kind of thing, Billy, when you're standing on 18 to, in contention for a tournament, what do you tell yourself when you're sort of teeing off, getting ready to go, you're in contention? What do you do in the moment also from a mental perspective?
For me, what I'm telling myself is we're all nervous. We're all feeling the heat. I don't care who you are. If you're not feeling the heat, then this doesn't mean anything to you. You're not alive. You better have someone go check your heart rate to make sure that you're alive at that moment, I feel. But for me, I'm like, I'm telling myself, you work hard for this. This is why you've worked that extra hour in the gym, a day. That's why you hit an extra 30 putts from 5 feet. That's why you work, put in 45 minutes more getting balls every day on the range. You work hard. You deserve to be in this moment. There's no reason why you shouldn't be successful in this moment. There's no reason why you can't come to this moment and win this tournament. So I'm telling myself and giving myself positive talk and telling myself, you deserve to be here because of everything you've done. And now that you've done all this stuff, now just go out there and be free and be relaxed and let all this extra work, all the preparation you've done and the belief in yourself come through in this moment. And obviously we know that it's not always going to turn out that way, but the more you get in that moment, the more you can reassure yourself that you've done the right things to be successful and to have a chance to win this tournament. And, you're controlling your emotions and you're seeing yourself be successful, that you're going to be more likely to conquer that moment and come out victorious at the end.
Mm-hmm. Who are some of the guys out there that you think are sort of some of the toughest competitors, right, mentally? And what do you think it is that they do? What are some of the things you said you pick the brains of some of the greatest, right? Or sports psychologists. Yeah. What are some of the things that you see them do that helps them execute and create kind of really special moments in their lives?
Yeah, Tiger, I've been lucky enough to get a little close to Tiger and call him a friend. And one thing that he mentioned to me a little bit, and then someone else expanded on it. That was even closer to him. Was something that I never did before, and I actually started doing it. I mentioned earlier was, seeing yourself, hit some bad shots, and seeing yourself, not, be as sharp as you want on the golf course. It's a preparation thing in your mental preparation. Obviously, like I said, you want to prepare yourself being successful, seeing yourself hold up trophies, seeing yourself make putts. But one thing he does along with that is he sees himself, miss-hit a shot and be in a spot of bother and get it up and down and really grind through it in his mind and see himself, have to get up and down for 40 yards to make a par. That adversity aspect of it. He does a lot of that, as well as the successful part of it, of seeing himself hit perfect golf shot after perfect golf shot. He's prepping his mind and prepping for the next day, just in case he doesn't hit that perfect golf shot. He's got to work hard to get up and down to save something. He's already prepared himself for something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think, that's something I picked up from Tiger. Something that I've paid attention to is Jordan Spieth, and the way, he gets on himself a little bit, and I'm the similar way. I get on myself, I may beat myself up after hitting a bad shot or making a bad mental mistake, but how quickly he is able to get rid of that and let that go and get prepared for the next shot and be fully invested in the next shot and not still be in the shot previous beforehand. And he's already let that be bygones, handle that, and moved on from it. So that process of moving on from something that you weren't successful at and being prepared for what lies ahead next.
Right. Well, and one of the things I wanted to ask you about too is, like, you're on the road obviously a ton, and as are many people that listen to this podcast. They're traveling, and so managing your energy, right, is I think almost more important than managing the time. And in the world that you live in and the way that you compete and the level in which you compete at, right, how do you manage your energy out on tour so that you can find yourself in sort of a peak performance mindset state, physically, mentally, emotionally, etc. Thursday through Sunday? How do you do that?
That's a great question. I'm lucky enough that I'm really the Energizer Bunny when it comes to being out on the road, in the sense that I don't realize when I'm tired. If I'm on the road for 4 weeks, it's 4 weeks of go, 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 go. And when I come home is when it finally hits me that, I'm pretty exhausted after these 4 weeks. So at home, I really, make sure I'm catching up on my sleep, getting, fully recharge the batteries to go back out. But at the same time, that only lasts for so long. So sort of towards the middle of the year, to the end of the year, I'm very aware of where my body, my energy levels are. And there are certain days that, I may need to put in, I would love to put in 3 or 4 hours of practice after, a practice round or after a round of golf, turn it around. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just put in an hour a day. It'd be more beneficial for you to take it easy today and then come out tomorrow and be fully charged, be mentally prepared for the next round of golf. Because sometimes, you can, wear yourself out practicing or working too hard, and you don't realize that. And so then the next day, you may feel fresh, you may be fresh at the start, but as the day wears on, freshness and awareness, sort of sharpness, sort of wanders off, and you're not nearly as sharp with your decision making. Your body is a little bit tired and it's not performing the way you want. So I think you got to be aware when you need to take time off in your day off from the tournament or from practice to recharge and just relax from that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm sure. I mean, and so what I'm hearing you say is you've got to learn how to manage your own energy, right? I mean, you've got to learn how to manage and have the discipline to say no sometimes, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got to understand when to say no. Certain times when, my manager Sherry, who I love her to death, she's awesome. But sometimes, she'll be like, hey, next week we've got, I would like to do a couple interviews with these people, or these people asking for 30 minutes of your time. And I'm like, you know what, Sherry, I need to do nothing next week. I just need to do golf, do my fitness. I can't worry about some extracurricular stuff. Really the first question I asked her, I said, how important is it for me to do this? And if she's like, it's really not that important, then I'm like, okay, well, I would rather not do it. I'm feeling a little bit tired. I would like to, manage, our time away from the golf course, and to give me more time to just, recharge and relax and be prepared for that week. And then there's times that she's like, hey, we need to do this, or we can, these other stuff that we have, we can cancel that one. So then I'll make sure I get that one or two obligations that we have. The other obligations, same thing. It's just, if it's not dire need to do it, then, we're just managing our time. So, because really what it comes down to is the obligations and sponsor obligations and media obligations are great, and it really helps with promoting our brand and promoting me. But at the end of the day, what really is what we strive for, what everyone wants a piece of, and what if you win, everything works out that way. Really what it is winning. And we want to make sure we're trying to give our best chance of winning, because that's the biggest way to promote who you are, or build our brand, or bring in new sponsors, is just by easily as winning.
Well, and if your energy isn't where it needs to be, or you don't feel 100% every week, right, when you're competing, winning may not be in the cards, right? So you want to say no so that you can put yourself in a position to win, right? Because you're at the level where you compete every day. You tee it up on Thursday because you want to hold a trophy over your head on Sunday. That's the new reality you created for yourself, which is just amazing.
Exactly right. Obviously in every sport, the main goal is to win, but it's not like a football season or a basketball season where you have 82 games, 16 games. We have a chance to win every week, and we want to give ourselves a best chance to win every week we possibly can. In basketball, you can take some days off and you can lose some games. Your goal is really to be prepared and come together in an 82 game season and be prepared for the playoffs. You just want to get to the playoffs, and then that's when you really want to make sure you're winning then. If you don't win in the playoffs, obviously you got no chance to win the NBA championship type deal or the NFL playoffs. So they work their way up into the playoffs. But for us, we have a chance to win and win big tournaments and be successful every week. That way, where winning one game really doesn't matter that much until you really get till their playoff season.
Well, right. There's not very many sports that you can tee it up on a Thursday and on a Sunday make $1 million, right? That's not a normal work environment. What advice, Billy, would you give kind of a younger version of yourself, right? If you were to now, with a couple of years of tour under your belt, married, with a beautiful child, Skylar, what advice would you look back, 10, 15, 20 years back? What would you tell yourself?
I think one thing I would say is just be a little bit easier on myself. There's been times, obviously I've only been pro now for 8 years, but even as a junior golfer and a college golfer, there was times I got on myself and got in my own way by wanting something too bad and wanting it too quickly and not being patient enough to just stay with the process. I think everyone has a process, whether you're an athlete or a business person, that you have in place. So, okay, today I want to do this, and then by a month now I want to be here, this month I want to be here. And sometimes, it's tough because you set little goals for yourself, and sometimes you just miss meeting that goal, and you get on yourself because you're like, man, I want to win, or I want to be at that next level that I've been striving for. But, so you push yourself a little bit harder, and, sometimes by doing that, you wind up hurting yourself more than benefiting it. And so for me, I would say, just stay with the process. Don't get away from the process. Stay with what, you and your team have put in place. Keep believing in yourself. Know that, keep the belief that as long as you commit to the process, commit to what, your goals are, your mini goals, your little goals are that you have every day, every week, every month, every year. As long as you're conquering those little things, then, the big goals that you've set for yourself will hopefully fall into place and will fall into place.
And so are you there now, right? Like, are you able to do that and trust the process? And if so, how did you kind of make that shift, right? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening, right, that are just grinding it and going hard and sort of looking at, gosh, if I can just do this, then tomorrow I'll be able to. We're living in this mindset of if I can do X, then Y, right? Instead of just being in the present moment and trusting that process. Have you gotten there? And if so, how did you get there?
It's funny. It's still it's a battle because there's times where I'm in that process and I'm right now I'm in it where I'm trusting everything that we're doing because I've had some success in the last couple of months. So it's a little bit easier to trust the process when you've seen the success and you got the confidence going forward. And then it's a little bit tougher to trust the process when you're not seeing the success. You're not seeing, you conquer some goals and you don't have the confidence that you have when things are going well. So obviously it's always a battle. It's always a battle. But I think for me, I have to just remind myself and look back to, just look back at examples of when I did, just stay with it and not push myself and get too far ahead of myself. And where I did stay with the process, it was successful. And obviously one thing is obviously this year, the middle part of this year wasn't as successful as I wanted. And, I was a little hard on myself. And, at the end of the year, I was like, well, let's just go out there and stay with what we're doing, stay with what we're committed to in our practice and not change anything. And I had a little bit of success at the end of our FedEx Cup playoff run and went into, a little 7-week break that I had and took some time off. And I got back into practicing again. And I stayed with what I wanted to do. And the first 2 events I came out in, I didn't do anything special. And then my last event of the fall season at the Gladys Classic, I played really well. And I had a chance to win there. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I didn't beat myself up at the 2 tournaments prior to because I didn't play as great as I wanted. I said, you did some good things this week. You were a little rusty in certain areas, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel from the work that I put in and just sticking to the process that our team had put together. And by me not getting my own way and putting too much pressure on myself to play well that last event of the fall season, I was allowed to be free and just go out there and play golf and not, put expectations on my table. And one thing my instructor always says is, play with no expectations. Then it's tough because, we live a life, doesn't matter what you do, where everyone, is expecting you to do something, whether it be X, Y, or Z. They expect you to, win or make a putt or sell a certain amount of insurance or sell a certain amount of cars or whatever it may be. And so he's always reminding me, have no expectations. Just go out there and don't have any expectation. Just follow the process of hitting one shot after another shot after another shot. And when it's all done, we'll calculate the numbers and where you fall at that point is where you fall.
Well, it's interesting to hear you talk about the process because, I am not a proclaimed Alabama fan at all, but I am a Nick Saban. I admire him. I mean, I think he's a process guy, right? I mean, that's what his whole thing is he's all locked in on the process and knows that if he just follows the process, the end result should be there. So it's cool to hear you.
It's funny, I think you sort of relate it to when you're teaching your kid to walk or you're teaching your kid to ride a bike, you put one foot in front of the other. And then when you're able to put one foot in front of the other and the next foot in front of the other a little bit more regularly and a little bit more rhythm, then you can start, jogging a little bit. And then once you get the jogging down, then you can start running a little bit. And so that's the way it goes. And obviously whether that's a good analogy or not, that's the way I look at it. Just trying to always put one foot in front of the other and then work your way up to, moving into a jog and into a run when you're getting a little bit more confident, feeling a little bit more comfortable with what you're doing.
Right. No question. Billy, I want to wrap. You've been awesome. I want to wrap with sort of this 60-second quick fire, right? So I'm going to just fire some questions at you, and I really just want a tight, quick kind of answer that comes to mind. So Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. One word to describe yourself.
Passionate.
Passionate. Okay. What's your biggest fear?
Oh my gosh. Biggest fear.
We all got them. They're all real. It's there. You probably suffocate your fears a lot. That's why you've had so much success.
I would say letting my family down.
Letting your family down. Wow. Yeah. You know, when we were together, when we did that panel last week, we sort of talked about that. When after, you know, I'm not sure what it was, but you kind of came back to the car and you looked at, you know, your caddy and a couple other guys on your team, and you just said, "Sorry, guys," right? Like it wasn't about you; it was about that moment. That's cool.
Because the point is, you work so hard, and there's so many other people that you know are around you, and they put in their own blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it's one thing letting yourself down, but it's other people around you that you want to be successful for them. They want to be successful for you. So that little bit of back and forth struggle, I feel.
Sure. What's your favorite off day activity?
Either if it's wintertime, snowboarding. If it's any other time of the year, hanging out with my little girl, Skylar.
Oh, that's awesome. What's a hidden talent? What's something you can do that nobody knows? Besides the rockin' pants, you really that's pretty public.
Oh, geez. Oh, man. I think I'm a really good driver. I think I could be a NASCAR driver. Nice.
You take the corners, you're tight?
Yeah, and my right foot's pretty heavy.
Well, hey, you know, when you get pulled over, just sign a golf ball and you'll get off the ticket, man.
I've been pretty good at having got pulled over in 15 years, so I'm okay right now.
Nice. What's the best advice you've ever received?
You know, I think believe in yourself. I think having the inner belief that you can conquer whatever is put in front of you, whether you have the skill set to do it, is besides the point. I think if you have that belief that you can be successful and be great in something, I think it's just the belief in yourself.
And what's your favorite thing about being on tour?
The competition and the travel. I love being able to go visit and see other parts of our country and the world.
Nice. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Slow play and people that don't know how to drive.
And what's your life motto?
God, I'm not sure if I have one. Life motto.
Like, what's your purpose? What's your mission? That's another way to think about it.
Yeah. You know, for me, it's, you know, anyone I come across, I'm trying to treat them the way I want to be treated. And you know, I want to leave them with, you know, when someone gets done meeting me, I want them to be like, you know, that guy was really nice. You know, obviously he's a pro golfer, but you can just tell he's a down-to-earth kind of individual, a regular person. You know, he's not, doesn't have too big a head on his shoulders. He's just a normal guy like everyone else.
Wow. And I bet that motto is so much infusing you from your childhood, right? From the parents.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Yep. Okay, so I can't end this without asking, you know, there's not very many guys out on tour that are rocking, you know, floral pants or, you know, pineapple pants or octopus pants. And I know this gets beaten up, right? But, you know, tell me this. I mean, and I believe that everybody needs to kind of have a signature, right? I think that everybody has to have something that makes them unique and makes them different. So, and obviously it has to be authentic and sincere and all those things. But so I'm sure this is part of it for you, but what inspired you to sort of start that, right? That unlocked that, sort of these rocking cool pants that you sport out on tour?
Yeah, I think you hit on it. It's got to be you. I think people will tell right away if it's not your style or if it's not you and you're trying to be somebody you're not. I think two things started from it. Obviously, Ralph Lauren asking me to wear octopus pants in 2013 and me being willing to do it. And I wanted to please my sponsor, my partner in Ralph Lauren, and make sure I was, you know, doing something that they wanted to, that they wanted to promote. And at the same time, I mean, my dad's a great guy, but he likes doing things and wearing things. And and being a little bit different than anyone else. And so I sort of have that in me, so I'm fine wearing pants like that. And so I make it a lot of fun. I enjoy it. There's times that I look at the pants and I'm like, really, I'm going to wear those this time? And I keep saying I have the veto power to veto any pants I wear, but I never have. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love it, and it is part of me. It's something that everyone knows about me now. That's my style, and that's the way it's going to be.
What's so cool about it is you, right? And it should help, your agent Sherry lock in on a 10-year contract, 20-year contract with those guys, right?
Yeah, we've got a nice deal with them. Ralph Lauren, I've got amazing partners, and Ralph Lauren being one of them. I grew up wearing Ralph Lauren clothes and wearing polo everything. I mean, if there was one sponsor, I told Sherry when she first signed, I said, if there's one sponsor I would love to have clothing, I would love Ralph Lauren. And luckily enough, we were able to make it work, and it's been a great partnership, and they've been great to work with, and I think I've been great for them to work with as well. So it's a great partnership that we have with family now. So like I said, I don't think that partnership is going anywhere anytime soon, and I thoroughly enjoy everything that they throw my way.
Well, you've been intentional about the brands that you've aligned with, and I know that from Zurich to Ralph Lauren to others, you've aligned with great brands, which is just an extension of you and you're an extension of them. It's awesome.
Yep.
Well, Billy, listen, thank you for doing this. You are kind, and I am grateful. And I just I really appreciate it so much.
My pleasure, anytime.
Thanks, as always, for listening. And if you missed an episode, you can listen to previous episodes on iTunes or on mollyfletcher.com. Until next time, stay curious and be a game changer.
Drum and hold